Good day, trader. Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. Daily FX levels for the pound crosses for Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. No news currently on the schedule for this afternoon. Early U.S. time. Already had the Aussie dollar cash rate RBA announcement and President Trump speaking. And nothing else scheduled until Thursday for the OPEC meetings. So taking a look at the pound Australian. Yesterday we saw the pound Australian move down through, clearing out stops that were down below these 4-hour levels and obviously on our 15-minute levels. Today we could see this 2000 area potentially act as support, which was where we had the breakout a couple of weeks ago. Again, if this market was to continue moving down, we have stops down below this 9875 level, 9870 level, as well as even further past that towards the bottom half of our 250 pip box, just above 9800. So currently this market not showing any micro trend line break, still moving down, but we potentially into the Europe-London session may find support in this 9980 2000 range. When we look at our 15-minute chart, we see that the market has, yesterday we saw broke through the previous day's low, auctioned back into it with 3 pushes before engulfing and then rolling downwards towards our target that we had for a measured move. Today we'll be watching to see how this 2000 area holds. The market has broken through yesterday's low, which was more of a continuation move than necessarily a pullback consolidation. So we could still see this market stop hunt high and potentially even come back to yesterday's 2200 level where the market sold off from last night. We know there's money sitting up there. Again, we're in we haven't had any sort of trend line break. This market could still maintain its downward drive. But again, in that Europe session crossover, we'll have to see how it handles this 2000 level. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see this market potentially stop hunt high and possibly retest the lows, or even blow off and stop hunt high, going after traders from last night's sell-off. This pair has traditionally gained yesterday. You'll see from the beginning of the day 100, 200, 300, 400 pips of drop. Again, we haven't really seen a pullback. This market could certainly stop hunt 100 pips or more for a pullback and a retest, even looking to see how if it stays above that 2000 level. Currently though, be looking for some kind of micro trend line break with a stop hunt pullback, or a pullback for a continuation down into that lower 250 pip box. Our next pair, pound Canadian. Again, another pair that broke down yesterday. Didn't have a huge amount of movement, but it was still 200 pips downward movement. But we're down at that lower part of the 7250 pip box. Stop hunting that breakout gap from a couple weeks ago, and they've pinned down to that breakout and consolidated. Depending on how that market handles that 7250 area, we might find that act as support for a retest back up towards the top of that box and yesterday's high. Again, currently, if it did break down, there's room for that market to possibly move towards the lower part of that 250 pip box. But today we'll look to see potentially being Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, 80% of the time can form the lower high of the week. So we may find that today, again, similar, we could get a stop hunt low, rise to retest back up and fill the gap from last night's sell-off. If we open our charts up a bit more, we'll see that this market has broken down and pulled back on top of yesterday's low. This area could act as support for a move back north, giving us a breakthrough yesterday's high, or even stop hunting and rolling down. But if we break through that high, we could see a move back up towards even as far as yesterday's high up top. So first thing we would want to see is them to take out this high and then fill yesterday's gap. We got stops up top in that upper 50 pip box, just underneath break-even traders, as well obviously that upper 100 pip box from yesterday's sell-off. So again, the market has broken through yesterday's low and pulled back, so we're currently still inside of yesterday's range, potentially looking for something where the market may hold and move back through today's and yesterday's highs. Next pair up, our pound Swiss. Again, another pair that had been moving up strongly last week, broke down yesterday into Friday's close. Bit of a strong move to retest the breakout traders from Friday's short before consolidating and then stop hunting traders who were long at the open. Now that market is still holding above a breakout from last Monday. We do have stops on the downside, but if it was to stay consolidated in that upper box above the 94.50 area, we could see that market break through, retesting the highs of yesterday and heading towards our measured move, which was around that 21.75 area. When we look at our 15-minute chart, if we consolidate and just look at again similar to the pound Canadian, we see that the market has pinned down to yesterday's low and found support back up inside of yesterday's range above that 1950 level. Again, this 00 box, if it were to break on the top side, we could certainly head towards yesterday's highs. If this was to roll over and break back through the low of yesterday and retest today's lows, we could see that market fall down towards the lower portion of that 72.50 box. For now, we're back inside of yesterday's low, so it's possible we could see this market break through, pull back, and continue to resume its uptrend back towards yesterday's and maybe even last week's highs. Our next pair up, the pound yen. Yesterday we saw that market trade up towards the high from a few weeks ago that it's been bouncing off of after our 1, 2, 3 up at that 13400 area. The market opened down low at the bottom of the box, moved quickly up to the highs before pulling back off of that 3440, 3450 area. Currently we're in the middle of this range, so we would want to see either that market move aggressively towards the high and break through possibly for the continuation of that stop hunt up high, or roll over possibly and break through that 3250 area for a retest down to the bottom of that 130.00 box. When we look at our 15-minute chart, we can see the market sold off last night after breaking down through Friday's lows, pulling back, and then layering on top of that 3300 area at double zeros, and then moving aggressively through Friday's highs before giving us a 1 push, 2 push, 1, 2, 3 in the USS, and then selling off at the previous day's high. Looking at today, we're inside of a 00 box between 3400 and 3300. We're currently right in the middle, so we could see this market consolidate and retest the high for a breakout pullback, breaking through and possibly retesting yesterday's high, or consolidating, rolling over, stop hunting the low of the day for a breakout pullback and a continuation towards Friday's low. Right now, again, in the middle of the box, some degree of a possibility of a symmetrical triangle forming for a move through the high. We'll watch and see what happens in the Europe session changeover. We're getting close to that session time, so we'll watch to see if this market breaks out. But next up is our pound New Zealand. So again, last week we saw more Friday, Monday breaking down through that upper box, breaking down yesterday morning early below the 2750 area, and breaking our rising trend line and moving aggressively towards the bottom of that 250 pip box, taking out stops on the way up. Currently sitting at 500, where the market potentially may have found support. This pair we talked about having the possibility of a measured move long, well, that's now pulled back inside of that original breakout and sitting at 2,500. When we look at our 15-minute chart, we see that the market has gone 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 down to that lower 100 bottom of the 100 pip box. We do have room for this market to potentially stop hunt low and rise. There are stops all the way up above these lower highs. Now, this market has moved quite a distance in the last 2 days. And again, we broke out, pulled back, and have moved 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to the bottom of this 00 box. It's possible traders may see some breakout pullback off of 50 back towards the lows, or even a pullback extended stop hunt down in through 500 for a move and a retest of today's high. There are traders who have shorted this market up here just heading into the end of Asia. Those traders do have a gap. If the market was to even come back and stop hunt that, we might see a stop hunt high and then a stop hunt back into the low. Traders who are long for a measured move up off of a double bottom formation. This market could certainly still continue to move down, but we do see traders who are in profit all the way back up on these levels, and we could see the market move fairly aggressively up through the north part. Again, 2500, major round numbers, could act as significant support. Pound, lastly, we have traders who shorted this market into Friday's session. You can see that on our 15-minute chart. On our 15-minute chart from Friday, they broke down, found support around that 2200 area, 2250 before pulling back yesterday, then stop hunting low this morning and pulling back. So again, this 2250 could be acting as support. We do see a possible consolidation underneath of the peak formation from last week. We'll have to watch this pair closely, but it has stop hunted back up towards the shorts from last night's session. When we look at our 15-minute chart, we can see that that market has moved up off of yesterday's lows. Stop hunting traders who were short from last night's session up around that 2300 area. We could see this market stop hunt high for a retest back down, getting traders who were long off this morning's engulfment pattern just prior to the market opening. It's possible we may see this market retest the lows. For now, this market is possibly in a trading range between 2300 and 2200 until we see either some sort of breakthrough and a pullback for a continuation, or a stop hunt high rolling over underneath or heading towards yesterday's highs before reversing and even retesting today's low. So working from the double zeros, we either want to see the market hit the previous day's high or low, or work off double zeros hitting its own high and low and before reversing or continuing for a breakout pullback or a false break reversal. Again, just sort of closing on a positive note, we see a quote from Bill Lipschutz. If most traders would learn to sit on their hands 50% of the time, they would make a lot more money. One of the biggest things I have learned is that trying to trade every move in the market usually ends up costing you money. Partly why I really emphasize focusing on that 12 candle window and looking for one really great trade setup, targeting 5 or 6 markets and just looking for the best setup out of those pairs rather than trying to trade one pair every day. Keep it simple. Wait for the best trade setups. Have a great trading day, traders, and may the markets go with you.
Hi traders, it's Stacey Burke from Stacey Burke Trading. If you haven't done so, please head over to my website at staceyburketrading.com. I create updates on almost a daily basis, and I would love for you to receive them. Just click on the blog. If you want to enter your name and your email address, I'll send you my free audio program, the 7-Step Daily Routine for High-Performance Traders. This is essential knowledge for all traders in all markets, and this is for helping traders to master the market with discipline, confidence, and a winning mindset. I appreciate all your feedback and comments, As always, traders, stay disciplined and may the markets go with you.